Right, back to Chronicles. Steam. I now have 73.7 hours in Chronicles. Holy moly. I'm really getting my money's worth. I'm gonna have to check at the end, like, divide hours by, or does that do price paid divided by hours played. Ah. Dun, 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 dun. I think I'll do Trial Part 2 and then leave it for Trial Part 3 because my throat is getting a bit sore, as could probably be told, as could possibly be surmised from the previous stream. Yeah, so got a bit of a sore throat, a bit of a phlegmy sinus, so I'll probably take it fairly easy on the voices today. Who knows though? Not me. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Hello. This is it then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, it's time to put an end to this now. The miserable curse that's been plaguing Mr. Natsume. To everything. And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you. Dun, 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 dun. I always appreciate your help, Miss Usato.
Suffering so saying selfishly sidelined.
Ah! Good morning to you too, Mr. Natsume.
Good morning. Good morning, local student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Listen to you two, chatting away happily as if the main player of today's trial isn't here. Why would you do that? Why?
Oh dear, we didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Natsume. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly, you were meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you.
I was waiting. What's the matter, Mr. Natsume? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, that's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is a journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut.
I missed the signs, I'm afraid. Somehow. You'll have to forgive me. And you mustn't talk of your path leading you to death, Mr. Natsume.
That was just an example.
Oh, yes, there it is. Inner calm.
You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you'd abandoned me and returned to our beautiful long-lost homeland.
We've not even been in Great Britain a week yet. Yes, well, anyway. I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth.
I've actually reached an important decision myself.
Oh? What sort of decision?
I shall fill you in after the trial.
Alright. It will seem Mr. Shones isn't coming today, after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits. It's a very clear message, I think. That he's overslept again.
The great detective. My arch nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me.
Rah! Oh, no. I thought it was going to be him. Defendant and your legal representative. The trial is about to begin. Make your way into the courtroom immediately. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defendant's fate is sealed. But I don't believe in that legend any more than I believe in Soseki-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client and keep fighting to the very end. That's all. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I call upon the counsel for the prosecution and defence to declare their willingness to proceed.
Prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready.
Very good. And now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed? Oh, absolutely. Justice will be done. You mark my words.
I feel obligated to say, I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right. Oh, well, I wonder if you could just... Well, I wonder if you could just adjust my hat for me. And please, be as ruthless as you like. Thieves deserve to die, if you ask me. Especially gas thieves. I have no sympathy for the man at all.
Look, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again now. I don't have time for this. I've got my own problems. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to write this verdict again today. Now, Lord Van Dykes, what can you tell us? Prosecution's report, please, for the court.
Dun, dun, dun.
In relation to the theory expounded by the defence yesterday regarding the defendant's tea.
It probably contained poison, let's be honest. So he does have the results. It's going to contain tea, and we're going to have to come up with somehow that... I still think the poison gas theory I really like. And I also really like the Shamspear being responsible theory, just based on the way that he took the room and the way that he wanted the middle room. There's probably a fair few things I just can't remember from yesterday. We'll just have to wait and see. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the blackguard in the dock. Pray, allow me a moment to savour a liquid of a more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defence, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. And there was indeed a frozen reddish liquid in a little depression on the top of it.
Yes, that's the tea. That's what Mr. Natsume brought with him that night. They are setting this up so that it has got poison in it.
Well, the brains at the yard analysed it, Yes, you're right, it was tea. And there wasn't a trace of strychnine or any other toxic substance within it.
Wrecked. Okay. No poison at all.
In other words, the tea that the defendant brought with him to the victim's room is innocent. It's in the clear. What a revelation!
As I suspected. This makes it quite clear. The defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is blameless here. Objection. My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A tipple. My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction. What? Yes, it's true. No poison was found in the few drops of liquid recovered from the soap on the window ledge. But what logic is that? Would you just take a drop from the Thames and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty?
My word, the water in the ocean is extremely salty, Count.
Exactly. Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was on the night in question, as the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shakespeare, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand.
Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's request.
Mr. Shakespeare? Yes, it sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friend.
Bailiff, show Mr. Shakespeare to the stand. To the star, the star.
Mr. William Shakespeare, the victim of this despicable crime.
Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Forsooth, 'twas I, Shakespeare, did have a bellyful of the foul fluid given in mine innocence.
Yes, but as it was revealed in yesterday's proceedings, the witness is not as innocent as we had perhaps first been led to believe.
By using bars of soap such as this, he has been stealing gas from the supply company. Yes.
Oh, one may smile and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shakespeare, did have a roomful of the sweet fuel given.
Oh, that's right. Fellow jurors, don't forget, this man is a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten. Kept all that about the ice coins a tiny secret, didn't you? You should have owned up sooner.
Arrest him, I say, arrest him at once, and let him feel the sting in my tail. Oh, indeed, by dint of vile and cowardly means I have plotted to further mine own ends. I confess. Thou wouldst not pardon my sins, of that I'm sure.
If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, what exactly are you doing here? Oh, my sinuses are not happy.
And for a coward such as I, death be well deserved. But would it still a greater crime would it that a greater crime pass unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of farther east than Verona did contrive to poison me.
Objection! Objection! But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that. What the defence would assert as an inconsistency will quickly be cleared up by the witness's testimony. Is that not so, Mr. Shamspeare?
Verily, my liege, I would most gladly speak.
Very well, let the witness testify to explain this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is that the poison apparently entered your body, though none was found in the tea.
The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison, whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips.
Objection!
When he departed by and by, I did use the tea that remained in his cup to make my coins of ice. Thus, 'tis no surprise that poison be not found in the tea I did pour into the moulds of the soap.
The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience.
Quite. Otherwise it would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance.
But no poison bottle was found at the scene. Because, quite simply, the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room. The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide. Ugh, I knew that. By now it should be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap. Wait, he has two pointing things. One where he goes like this, and another where he goes like that. Is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accused's hands. Ugh!
Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shamspeare, be a common thief of gas. But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. Wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause. I have naught to lose. Well?
I do declare.
Thank you for your testimony, witness. Counsel will proceed with the cross-examination.
Yes, my lord.
Hold it!
Hold it. I understand that you're already acquainted with Mr. Natsume. Is that correct?
I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Do I know thee, or know thee not? Methinks 'tis all I can know, that thy destiny mingles with mine.
You lost me at the first "thee."
Zounds, sir.
Wow, now that is an old, like... Well, that is proper old. Thank you, Vsauce, for teaching me what zounds.
Zounds, sir. Thou must learn the English tongue afore thou turns thy hand to lawyering.
I did, but I must have missed the archaic Elizabethan lecture.
Verily, and in truth, 'twas a fine-flavoured brew. There were drop of poison did barb its sweetness, as the thorn doth barb the sweet rose. That, dear friends, be the simple truth.
Listen to Mr. Shamspeare. He seems in even better form than he was yesterday. Either that, or I'm in worse form.
That fated evening, after I did dine, at Grubb's Grubbery, a local alehouse of good report, naught did pass my lips but the tainted black tea. But behold, the poison was not in the tea at first. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison.
Are you saying that you saw the moment when the poison was added to your tea?
To have witnessed the act and then drank the tea, thou dost describe the actions of a fool.
Quite so, quite so.
But no one likes going thirsty, do they? Sooner would I die quenched than parched. Would I have the choice?
Actually, on the night in question, the water main was frozen, I believe, wasn't it?
Were it not for the tea, in sooth I would sooner have died frozen than quenched or parched.
Right. No ice coins means no heating. The witness had more than one brush with death on the night in question, it would seem. Remind the court, Mr. Shamspeare, as to whether the accused drank any of the tea which he brought with him.
With the greatest of pleasure, my liege.
Hold it! Hold it! The teacup Mr. Natsume drank from was found completely empty at the scene. And let's not forget the defendant's maxim, drink tea while it's hot.
I did gulp from the poisoned cup that night, and in mine agony I writhe uncontrolled. In fits of pain I did knock the fellow's cup, and its contents spilt as blood from a gaping wound, methinks. Though certainly 'twas after I had made the coins of ice from his tea.
An upset cup was found at the table that the victim was slumped over. There is no contradiction here. It's true, there was no tea left in either cup that we found at the scene. But still, something about this statement is troubling me. Yes, of course, I know what it is. It's Mr. Natsume's wise drink tea while it's hot, Maxine, isn't it? No, I'm not sure that's it.
Thank you, witness. Now reiterate for the court what it is that occupied you after your guest left and before you drank the tea, your tea.
Hold it! Hold it! Yes, so that you could cheat the gas company, in fact. Isn't that right?
To cheat or to die, 'tis life's only choice.
Yes.
Faith, to cheat be the wise choice, and mine occupation be not an ugly one. Prithee, dost thou not see beauty in the simplicity of the ruse? Oh, no, I don't, and be very sure, sir. Once this trial is over, Altamont Gas will take you to task over this legal task. I shall not run, I should not hide. Sooth to say, I have nowhere to run, nor to hide. But, my lady, what wouldst thou with this pitiful player? Oh, I'll tell you what I'd like to do with you, starting with the shoddy shirt on your back. 'Tis time for a Shakespeare dance.
What a harsh world we live in. The thieving of the gas was addressed in yesterday's proceedings. The prosecution calls on the defense not to muddy the waters with irrelevancy.
Consider that a warning, Counsel.
Yes, my lord. Why am I the one in trouble here? Mr. Shakespeare, after the accused returned to his own lodgings, you used his tea to make your coins. Is that correct?
To cheat and or to die, I did make my choice many months ago. Thus 'tis no surprise that poison be not found in the tea I did pour into the moulds of the soap.
Hold it! Hold it! If, having first made your special... If, having first made your special coins, it was after 2 in the morning when you collapsed, that would mean you can't have drunk any tea yourself until around that time.
Once ensnared by literary debate, naught else be found in the furrows of the mind.
The debate about Romeo and Juliet, you mean? And who was the stronger of the two?
Rightly did I pay no heed to the tea, as I wrestled with the abominable fellow.
I don't remember debates like that when I was studying.
Are you suggesting that neither of you actually drank the tea whilst it was hot that evening?
My lord, wouldst thou be privy to some Shakespearean wisdom? Husband, wife, and tea, ought I tepid be?
Ah, yes, so very true. Everyone has different preferences when it comes to tea. I think you might have interpreted that wrongly. Wait, really? Husband, wife, and tea should definitely, yes, should tepid. Why is this sentence so fucking annoying for me? Husband, wife, and tea ought, yes, be tepid. Warm husband, warm. I don't get the joke. So it's been proven that there was no poison in Soseki-san's tea. That should be hugely in our favour. But the atmosphere in this courtroom today, it feels as though everybody is against us, Mr. Naruhodo. It must be the Veep's poison. I'm afraid that if we don't find a significant flaw in this testimony somewhere, the jury will pounce and find Mr. Natsume guilty. It really feels like we've jumped into the fire here. Objection! Objection! You claim that Mr. Natsume didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question. But that's impossible.
How,
What the fuck? Another word I'm gonna have to look up.
chop logic. Chop logic. What is this, ye dark, ye clad friend? Fiend? Or friend? How, chop logic. What is this, ye darky clad fiend?
The two key teacups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other by the defendant, have a clear difference between them. One that represents incontrovertible proof. Dun, 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 dun.
Incontrovertible?
What difference? What difference? Look at the inside of the cups. Just there, there's a clearly visible ring. Yes, a tea ring. Commonplace enough.
Indeed, such stains occur all too readily when one leaves the tea in the cup for a while.
And yet, Mr. Natsume's cup has no such ring.
Good Lord, you're right. It's completely clean.
And prithee, sir, what makest thou of it?
Exactly what Mr. Natsume told the court yesterday. The Japanese saying... Exactly what Mr. Natsume told the court yesterday. The Japanese saying he quoted.
Drink.
Tea? Oh, while it's hot.
That's right, yes. The jittery Mr. Natsume was true to his usual self that night and drank his tea in no time.
That was a great pose.
If, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well, after the several hours the tea was left standing.
But,
In short, Mr. Shamspeare, you clearly lied to the court.
yet, thee to a nunnery!
Objection!
Objection. As a rule, I fill my hallowed chalice up to 7 times during any one trial.
Are you Goddo now, my man?
I've become Goddo over these last few months as I've become Goddo in between these two games, you know. I've realised that I need to have my own special... You can't really call it a blend. My own concoction. As a rule, I fill my hallowed chalice up to 7 times during any one trial. You might want to keep that information to yourself. Yet on occasion, tedium distracts me and I pour more times than I intended, until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating, but irrelevant. On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shamspeare,
Yes, my liege.
though you previously stated that you made the coins of ice from the leftover tea in the accused's cup. Could it be that you were perhaps mistaken?
Eh?
Could it be that, yes, perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the scene? A fact that had vanished from your memory until now. Well, that totally isn't leading the witness to the answer.
Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. Thank you for giving me this convenient lie to replace my previous lie. For verily, 'tis as thou hast seen with thine own eyes that night.
What?
Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use the tea from the Japanese fellow's cup, but lo, when I looked, 'twas empty. And thus did I use the dregs that festered in the teapot, as my liege did suggest.
Objection!
Objection! And you've just suddenly remembered now that you made a mistake before? Are we supposed to believe that?
Objection!
Objection! People's memories are imperfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us two things of note. Firstly, that the poison was put into the victim's teacup only. And secondly, that this spoiled cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that have bewitched this court.
The prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts.
Furthermore, the testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words, the inconsistency claimed by the defense simply does not exist.
No! What does this mean then?
I do declare it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony.
Apart from the bit about thieving gas, obviously.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear. After I did dine at Grubb's Grubbery Ale House that night, naught did pass my lips but the black tea given me by the Japanese, whose back be stooped as low as death.
And on what did you dine, sir?
Why, I did partake of one of my favourites, a broth as wouldst be called soup, and a leaf as would be called salad.
as insalubrious a menu as the establishment where it was served.
But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. Willingly would I suffer what punishment 'tis seen to fit. 'Tis seen to fit to serve a wicked thief of gas. But I pray you wise and noble fellows, ne'er forget the simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. Jurors all, your humble servant Shamspur doth entreat you, punish the Japanese fellow for his sins.
My lord.
My lord! Oh, my lord! If I may speak, my lord. Oh. Yes, Mr. Foreman. I believe we may have been duped by that rotten defense lawyer.
By me?
I do declare that you may be right.
We all know the wife there was making coins. The wife? What the fuck? Why is there so many words I don't... Homeless person. Really? I don't know how to pronounce it. We all know the wife. No. Waff. Oh, we all know the waff there was making coins of ice to keep himself warm.
This lawyer lad says that if he's stealing gas, he deserves a dose of poison. He's been leading us up the garden path, that's what he's been doing.
I really never said anything like that.
Oh, but what we just heard from the victim there has opened our eyes again. We've reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. The court acknowledges this position of the jury foreman, and will duly hear the jury findings.
What? No! You can't just yet.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, will state your decisions now.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
I hereby declare the jury to be in one accord.
Oh, happy day! How is this happening? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination.
Very well. The court upholds the defence's right.
Typical. My learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth.
This trial will therefore enter its second summation examination immediately. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime he is charged. Oh, I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty.
I do agree that the gas is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying. This stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is. Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes.
Truth be told, the tea my wife serves up for me is a little sketchy at times. Oh, if nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supply has influenced decisions somewhat. But never mind.
No, you really should mind. The truth is, our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we'd hoped. And Mr. Shamspeare was poisoned. There can be no doubt of that. Then how are we supposed to turn this around? I think we need to establish the method by which Mr. Shamspeare was actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court incontrovertibly. But that's surely almost impossible at this stage. If we don't manage it, though, Mr. Natsume will be found guilty.
No delays, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination.
Ugh, this is hopeless. There's no way for me to appeal to these people. I do think that the only way we shall overcome this difficult situation is by exposing the way in which Mr. Shamspeare was really poisoned. We have to prove that it happened some other way and not via Mr. Natsume's tea. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, I know. The trouble is, I have absolutely no idea how it did happen. Mr. Naruhodo, I wonder if perhaps there's something you might have forgotten. Oh, like what? It's important to watch everyone involved and pursue people if they react to something someone else says. If you'd like me to remind you exactly what I mean, I'd be more than happy to, of course. Once again, Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands here. I probably owe it to my client to hear any advice my assistant may be able to offer. So perhaps I ought to let Susato-san remind me. Then again, actually, I don't think there's any need. It's vital that we start trying to change these jurors' minds as soon as possible. Of course, I'm sure you're right. But if you decide you would like your memory refreshed, you need only ask Mr. Naruhodo.
Hold it!
All the evidence, you say?
Oh, that's right. Then there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with the big moustache.
Says the Englishman with the bigger moustache. Which means we need to show the man some new evidence to make him change his mind. If only we had that kind of evidence. Don't worry. This summation examination has barely started, really. Perhaps there will be a shift in the situation that shows an exciting piece of evidence in a new light. Let's hope so. To start with, though, I need to find some way out of this deadlock.
Hold it!
Hold it! This isn't the time or place to be discussing the price of gas, madam. But really, think of the injustice. Air is a gas, and air is free. Why should Altamont gas cost money? It makes my blood boil. I can feel myself becoming more ruthless than ever. This isn't the time or the place to be ruthless either. Oh, if I might interject here. Ah, yes, madam. It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price our company charges for gas. But it's precisely because of thieves like this man that the cost goes up. Oh, what a beastly man. That unkempt moustache, those hunched shoulders, poisoning tea and stealing gas. Utterly unforgivable. No, Mr. Natsume isn't the one who's been stealing the gas. I'll thank you not to go adding on more crimes. Mr. Natsume hasn't been poisoning tea either. Well, anyway, I've quite made up my mind. It's as made up as the price of gas. Hehe. This stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is.
Hold it!
Hold it. Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas? There's an all-out attack underway here, in case you hadn't noticed, against my company's gas. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so. She's really buzzing now. All I've heard about our wonderful fuel is explosions and poisonings. What about electricity, What about getting electrocuted? What about that? A little explosion here or there is nothing in comparison.
Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable.
My point, exactly. But the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know. More devious? Who, madam? Other gas companies, of course. Other gas companies? Not quite what I was expecting. We generate gas and we deliver it to our customers fair and square.
Indeed, nobody is questioning that, madam. Altamont is an exemplary gas company.
But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all. What? But if they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people? You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that.
They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible?
Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas into their own rotten pipes. Yes, my idea is coming true. The gas was replaced with poison gas. Strychnine gas. Then they make a contract with the household supplied by those pipes, and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours, without us even knowing. They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft. When we visit customers' houses to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks. Oh yeah! I had no idea. It's almost unbelievable. It might seem unbelievable to you, but it's happening all the time, right here in the capital. It's very difficult, selling something you can't see, you know. Very difficult indeed.
Thank you, that'll do. Clearly, this is a very involved subject, but I feel we have digressed rather too much already.
I concur, though if my learned friend wishes to become an expert in gas, I believe the subject will suit him well. To your new career in nothingness. Thank you so much.
You will turn your attention to the next juror's assertion, please, Counsel.
Hold it!
Hold it. You mean it's poisoned?
That's right, it happened a tidy few times now. This is most troubling indeed. It's always days like this one when I don't get any wages. I get in at tea time, see? And I see her doing it, my wife. She gets that devilish look on her face, and she slips some white powder into my cup.
And you drink it anyway?
I was brought up proper, I was. If someone gives you a cuppa, you drink it.
And what happened to you? What did it taste like?
It was god-awful, believe you me. Salty as hell.
Then I think perhaps what your wife put in your tea was salt.
No. So, she doesn't even care enough to poison me properly, eh? Unbelievable. Let's move on, please.
Hold it!
Does that mean that if the victim could be shown to have ingested something else, you'd change your leaning?
Oh, sorry. What's that now?
Oh, I was just saying, if the victim did actually eat or drink something else on the night...
What's the matter with you?
Sorry?
I said, if nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, then there's no explanation, is there? Haven't you been listening to me at all?
I feel there's an English expression about a pot and a kettle that's appropriate here. Compare it to the other jurors who don't even appear to have anything to say about the case at all. It would seem that this elderly gentleman has been listening to the proceedings far more intently. I suppose. The trouble is, he has selective hearing. Exactly, but still, this juror may well be the key to the breakthrough that we so desperately need. I want to read the dialogue even though. When a particular juror is talking, the other jurors will be listening naturally. Most of the time, when people are speaking themselves, they are careful not to give away more than they want to. But when they're listening to others speak, they tend to be less guarded. Yes, that's very true. So if you see people reacting strangely in an unguarded moment, you must pursue them to find out why. Here, take a look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. When you press jurors about their assertions, a marker appears in the center of the screen. By using arrows, you can move the marker and see how the other jurors are reacting to what's being said. And if you find a particular juror seems to be reacting oddly, you can pursue him or her about it. By catching people off guard, you may be able to glean new and potentially useful information. Yes, alright, I've got it. Press, and then if something seems odd, slide the marker with arrows to see if one of the other jurors is having an unusual reaction. If so, pursue that juror.
Hold it!
Hold it! Could we please talk about the poison rather than the gas, do you think, sir? Well, if you like. I mean, to be honest, I'd take poison over gas every time. You take poison? What I mean is, poison can only poison you. It doesn't explode, does it? Goodness me, what are you talking about? Set him straight, please, lawyer man. Well, it's certainly true that poison isn't prone to exploding. But I think you'll find poison also can't light or heat up a room. Oh, you're right. I hadn't considered that at all. Young lawyer man. Yes? You have a good head on your shoulders. We could use someone like you as our company's legal representative. Well, I wasn't expecting to pick up more business in the middle of a trial, that's for sure. Anyway, the point is that I haven't really had the best experience with gas companies in the past.
Hold it!
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah!
Excuse me!
Excuse me. Do you have something to say about that, juror number 3? Oh golly! You mean me? I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself. I really did catch him off guard there. Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying, correct? Well, yes. I just got a little riled up about it. I just got a little riled about it recently, you see. Go on. An ultimate gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipe work. We need to ask you for your cooperation while we carry out a secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in, and do you know what he did? I'm afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. Ah, wow, this is an English phrase that I wasn't very familiar with and didn't know that I shouldn't say anything to. He proceeded to take off one of my lights off the wall. Handprints, light bulb. Then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets there. Oh, please, everybody knows. But it was very nearly the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain, if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously, there's gas in the pipes, and it's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment.
Ah, I see. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe the lights of an adjacent property that has no contract with your company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes.
Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighbourhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker who came into my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, And you can guess what happens, can't you? Well, if he blew hard, then... Wait, you mean... That's right, the lights didn't just flicker, they went out, along with the stove. Gas started pouring into the house. What a disaster! The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all? I said. So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. And when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps... Yes, this is almost certainly the clue that we've been hoping for. Juror number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like. I don't mind. Well, I do. That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogues that... Like I said, madam, it's widely known already.
Very well, juror number 3, you will amend your statement accordingly.
Yes, my lord. Although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is.
Hold it! Hold it!
Hold it. When you say extinguish everything in the house, do you mean even on different floors? Oh, yes. All floors are connected to the same pipe after all. That's true of every building, because gas supply contracts are issued for whole properties. Well, I had no idea that it was possible to extinguish gas appliances simply by blowing down the pipe. It's not something we like to publicize, to be honest. We have to carry out these investigations, as I'm sure you can appreciate.
Indeed, it has been mentioned on more than one occasion in the papers, even.
Is that so? It's been mentioned to me too, very recently. An incident involving the gas stove going out inexplicably, almost leading to someone's death. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps... Yes, it's finally starting to fall into place. The secret link that joins all of these strange occurrences. What am I missing now? Oh dear, are there no clues at all that might help us? He has been touching the lamp. All we can do is keep pressing these jurors for more information, I suppose. Because we simply have to find some way to turn this situation around. Or Mr. Natsume will be found guilty. Okay.
Hold it!
What am I missing?
Hold it!
What happens if I excuse me again? He just doesn't have to excuse me anymore. There's no way. I just read all of them and none of them seem to make sense. This is the thing that's closest to making sense. And it's all I've got. I might just have to lose a sparkle here, lose a life.
Objection!
Oh, it's right, okay. Objection! Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Good gracious, to whose statements do you refer, Counsel?
Juror number 6, did you hear what juror number 3 just said?
Aye? What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other.
There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Natsume's tea did, in a manner of speaking, pass the victim's lips on the night in question.
What? What explanation?
I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall light at the scene to see if there were any traces of poison there? I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time, but the mouth of a gas pipe? Scotland Yard have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. What a piece of work is a man! What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamspeare? What speaketh thou? Prithee, is it not strange and strange? That is what I say to thee, sir. I thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it in another way. The strychnine could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp in your room. And that is how the poison came to enter your body.
Good Lord! Are they tasty then? Gas pipes? Is that what he's saying?
Or is the gentleman suggesting that the poor man was so desperately hungry that he tried to fill his belly with gas? Oh, perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him, For shame, madam, speaking thy fancy. I assure you, I'm not such a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes.
Objection!
Objection! This is no summation examination. This is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. To begin with, the lamp is in the victim's room is on high. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to have placed his lips on the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. There is no possible proof that the man did as you say.
Objection!
Objection! It's true, I have no proof that Mr. Shamspeare put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamspeare has been doing something in front of the lamp on his wall. And I have evidence to prove it.
Oh, All right, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you could be so sure of yourself.
Oh, so would I. Let's see the evidence then.
Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that, time and time again, Mr. Shamspear stood in front of his glass lamp.
Take that!
Take that!
What the?
These are, wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints that were found at the scene.
Skin prints, Counsel? I've never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however.
My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective, Mr. Aleks. It reveals all the places that Mr. Shamspear touched in his room.
Oh, I've never seen anything like it. Oh, I mean, that's black magic, isn't it? Well, if anybody could invent such a thing, something like this, it'd be that great Soames fellow, that's for sure.
Oh, I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Thumbs was quite fascinating.
We found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shamspear also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in his room. For example, here.
Oh, there. Around the hanging picture there, indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible.
Well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork, perhaps?
At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints are, and you would find yourself directly in front of...
I don't believe it. The gas lamp.
Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shamspear has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of the lamp.
Oh, right. What have you been up to, you nut?
I'd ask the court to recall Juror number 4's earlier statement.
Oh, me? What did I say?
You said that blowing into a gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now, if you'll recall Juror number 3's statement.
What? Me now?
When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights in the gas stove to go out, and gas to start leaking into the rooms. Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is, if Mr. Shamspear were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will.
Oh, crikey!
Are you suggesting that the man purposefully caused the gas to...
Objection!
Objection!
Whilst I acknowledge the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination, I must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law.
What is the meaning of this, Lord Van Sykes?
This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense, the so-called skin prints. Clearly, that cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case.
But it's an exciting new forensic technique, developed by a great detective.
It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands. Ugh.
Certainly. Have even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence.
But, hold it.
Please, my lord, if I may.
Miss Susato?
It was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the results of the great detective's investigation of the scene as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Ugh, God damn it! these fucking lawyers and their rules lawyering. Ugh. Do they really have to use this stupid emotional argumentation to get through to the jury?
And if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind these mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors would agree.
Hold it, you're right. Whether all those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide.
Juror number 3?
Oh yes, I do declare the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. I want to hear what that shady actor fellow has to say about these shady handprints.
Oh, what's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy. Oh. Well, I did say it, didn't I? And I don't like to break a promise. No, wait, you heard his lordship. It's not fair to...
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. If just one more juror changes his or her mind, Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue.
Thank you, Miss Susato, but I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, no, it was you who identified the clue, after all. This is very much your success.
Why, Mr. Shamspear? You seem to be losing your composure.
Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it.
Very well, continue, counsel.
I'm very interested in the results.
Get wrecked, Van Zykes.
Hold it!
Hold it! All the evidence, you say?
Oh, that's right, and there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with the big moustache.
Says the Englishman with the bigger moustache. The defense just demonstrated another possible explanation for events on the night in question. What do you make of that?
Oh, what, your so-called skin prints?
It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique developed by the great detective himself.
The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shamspear had indeed put his mouth to the gas pipe on the night in question, it can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was.
Oh, well, yes, I won't deny that it's playing on my mind. But as the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. Oh, and besides...
Yes?
Even if the fellow had been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozens of times before, it doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? Oh, if you can't make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance.
You do make a very valid point, sir.
What?
That's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty.
No, wait! Oh, look, you've got your chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. And you and your Japanese cohorts, if you and your Japanese cohorts can, that is.
Just leave our nationality out of this, please.
Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid the jurors that changed their minds before may very well change them back. What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here? Can I show that Mr. Shamspear really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? No, in truth, I don't have any evidence to support my theory. However, there is witness testimony that substantiates it.
Oh, what's that? Testimony?
Oh, that is incredible. Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. A person whose testimony revealed details about the gassing the Garrett residence that night. Namely, it's either Soseki or Garrett himself. I feel like saying my client is a bit too convenient, right? Like, you know, because he's the defendant after all. So I feel like Garrett is the most logical. Shamspear definitely didn't.
Take that!
Take that! I'm wrong. Well, Mr. Foreman, does that convince you? Phew, I don't think he was listening.
Rest assured, Counsel, I shan't let such nonsensical answers go without penalty.
I thought I'd got away with it. A witness who spoke about the gas on the night in question. Yes, there was someone. That's what I thought too, but I obviously chose the wrong person.
Hold it! Take that!
Take that! Obviously, I'm talking about the defendant. Mr. Soseki Natsume himself.
Oh, the defendant?
At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following.
My lodgings, there's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. Even on that fateful night, it happened when I returned from Mr. Shamspear's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out and somebody tried to kill me.
On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence or not?
Oh,
No.
good golly!
So that Shamspear fellow blew air into the pipe to make the man's gas stove go out on purpose?
Now hold your horses there. What would they do that for?
Mr. Foreman,
Oh, what the? What is it, man?
we cannot allow judgment to be passed while this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree that there is more to this case than meets the eye.
Ah, oh, fair enough. Like I said at the outset, I'm a man of logic, first and foremost.
4 jurors leaning towards not guilty, my lord, we've overturned the decision. Therefore, the defense calls for the trial to continue.
As the defence has rightfully indicated, the summation examination has concluded with a majority of jurors altering their decisions. 2 jury members now call guilty, 4 call not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted, and in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Mr. William Shamspeare.
Oh, my lord, how can thy humble Shamspeare serve thee?
What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination?
So God mend me, I do solemnly swear. I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe.
But your handprints have made a tiny mess all over the wall there. How do you explain that, eh?
I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already, juror number 5.
Oh, me?
As I went to some pains to point out already, a print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall, remains at this time unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that.
Oh,
Objection!
Objection! The prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding that lamp in Mr. Shamspeare's room to be examined. If there are traces of poison there...
Objection!
Objection! What appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of tea were required. Yes. Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible. Ah! I didn't think of that.
In any case, counsel, I fail to see what could possibly have motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow air into the gas pipework where he lived?
There's only one possibility that I can think of, and that is, they used the leaking gas to commit murder.
Order! Counsel, precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end?
The answer couldn't be simpler, now we've unravelled the mystery this far. Mr. Shamspeare wanted to end the life of...
Take that!
Take that! If a gas lamp were to go out, it would have been noticed immediately, of course. But the gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing.
I live round those parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. You would freeze to death in no time.
Mr. Garrideb, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shamspeare was trying to end.
Outrageous!
I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsume isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim this man was trying to murder.
Good gracious!
Objection!
Objection! The accused is actually the aggrieved.
Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remain unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let us indulge your fancies for a moment and assume that there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. The question that then arises is who put it there. Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill.
Yes, that would indeed seem logical. If the assailant were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison?
So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shamspeare's murderous designs?
Ah, you mean to suggest...
Naturally, the sole possible answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Only the man whose life was being threatened could have possibly have known.
What?
In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe in what was a clear retaliatory attack can only have been the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Whatever Mr. William Shamspeare may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. And the only person who could possibly have perpetrated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsume. The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused. Far from it. In fact, now that a clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established, that suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend?
How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly? Mr. Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage.
What advantage?
Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shamspeare's room. So we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt.
You mean name the true culprit?
I know it might sound impossible, but if we fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed once and for all.
As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, it's all pointing to a particular poisoned person now. Is it? The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman.
What? Oh, don't you worry.
Objection.
I know exactly what...
Objection. There is one other person who I believe could have been involved in all of this. The true culprit of this crime.
The true culprit?
A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate great detectives, my Nipponese friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? Okay, process of elimination, guys. No! She had the same poison. Oh, wait, no, that was in the medical cabinet. No, I was about... Okay, that would have been insane. Okay, no. Maybe. No, maybe. Dead. Suicide doesn't feel right. He's touched the meter. So he's touched the meter. And I think saying him would be me saying it's an accident. I don't think it's Gyarados. I think a Drone Bee Meter Man is too, like, good of a witness. I don't know. He wasn't suspicious. I don't feel like he had a motive. Evidence? The poison. It's all pointing to a particular person now. The poison? I don't understand his motive. She was way too pure. It can't be her. She was lovely. It can't be her. Okay, it's not Gyarados, yeah? It can't be Gyarados. Ah, what the fuck? Answer the question, Aleks. Who is the killer? The motive has to be... Okay, think about it this way, Aleks. We have to talk about the whole missing jewel thing, right? We have to talk about it. That has to be the motive. Wanting to get his hidden jewelry that nobody could find. Right? That makes sense. Why would we have went through all that effort of setting up this whole history of the building? It's the only logical way forward to, like, you know, have everything fit together. So, with that in mind, that the motive is the jewel, he lived upstairs. Doesn't make sense. Okay, think about it. If it's her, it's because of revenge. If it's him, it's an accident. If it's him, I just don't believe it. Ah, I don't know, I don't know. The poison, the evidence. It all points to one particular person. He would have known Shamspear's habit of constantly going after the gas pipe.
Take that!
You claim this person is the true culprit? Highly suspicious, I would say. Yes. Perhaps, my learned Nipponese friend, you should turn those wide eyes of suspicion on yourself. What? For it seems to me that your reckless reasoning makes you far more than anyone else you could name. A very dangerous man indeed. Gah! 3 lives left. Mr. Naruhodo, please, you must concentrate. I was trying to. Then you must concentrate harder. Harsh. Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? Fuck everything, dude. No one else makes sense. Once I get it right, it'll feel so obvious. The poison. I hate this answer. It's so dumb. She's so nice, there's no way. Maybe she felt guilty and that's why she wanted to off herself. That's such a weird, like, setup though. I'm not gonna save Scum. Okay. The so-called okay. The wording of Van Dyke's question is written so that it looks possible to pick William Shakespeare. Unforgiving of gas theft. No. She's too righteously indignant to... She isn't suspicious. I really don't want this to be the answer. I just don't understand the motive if it's her. I fucking hate this, man. Process of elimination again. No, no, no. Maybe. No, no. Maybe. No. Why was he sweating? Again. He was sweating when he was talking about a certain topic. No. No. It's unimaginable. The only hint in the text to try and lead you to it as it happens, one possible culprit comes to mind. The evidence, the poison. It's all pointing to a particular person now. Who did Olive Green meet with in the pub? We have evidence that Olive Green went to the room. It's the letter. Oh my god. The broken off bit of letter proves that Olive Green went to the room. Who wrote the letter to Olive Green? Wasn't that Shamspear? But she opened it there.
Take that!
No, no, no. She's so nice. Aww. That's not cool, game. The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspear is, I believe, Miss Olive Green.
Miss Olive Green? Miss Olive Green. I do feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Council, but I don't recall where.
Miss Olive Green? The woman from 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. An incident for which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hasten to add.
Oh, of course, yes. Of course, yes, Miss Green. She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe, but I hear she has regained consciousness 2 days ago.
And I hardly need to remind the court that Mr. Shamspear's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi.
True, on the night that the incident occurred, Miss Green was in hospital, unconscious. So on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible. But still. My colleagues and I visited Miss Green in the hospital yesterday, and we found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison.
Good gracious, she had poison.
And there is another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court.
Tell me, Mr. Shamspur.
My lord, pray, what be thy bidding?
Are you acquainted with Miss Green?
Eh? No, never heard of her. Judging by the look on Mr. Shamspur's face, I think perhaps he genuinely doesn't know her, at least not by name. As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We will see my learned Nipponese friend's farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a small recess, my lord, in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here.
Yes, Miss Olive Green.
Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient.
Very well, I grant the request.
Excellent, I hope.
The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say. But at the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of the court's attention. Thank you, counsels. We reconvene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned.
Why, Takumi, why? Why?
Alright, that's it for the night. How long was that? 1:54. Okay. I really thought that Shamspur's whole deal was going to be that he desperately wanted that jewel to become wealthy. I was so sure of that. Maybe it still is true, I don't know. This game has got to be one of the best Ace Attorney games. If it continues to be this good, it is one of the best. Maybe this sore throat will go away soon. I hope. Hope it doesn't get worse. Man. He got me, man. He got me. He tricked me. How can you not feel bad for Olive Green? Why, dude? She seems so, like... She does not seem like the type who would take revenge.
And, oh my lord. And it wasn't even a gas company. That whole theory was bullshit too. The gas company swapped the gas for poison gas. I really liked that idea. Asphyxiating people with poison gas. I thought that was gonna be it. Coating the pipe with poison, what the hell? How did she even come to know to do that? This is so crazy, dude. I'm so stuck figuring out this in my head. This is gonna have many twists and turns that I just can't even imagine. Oh, but that's it for today. Bye bye.